Yeah, I've got that. Cool. Alright. So we're doing Jedi percent, folks. This is basically the effectiveness of knife only, I guess. But, you know, you can only do it on New Game Plus because you can only use the weapon, you know, on New Game Plus. But yeah, we're also going to try and take stock of a few things, maybe for the new game, things that I need to start remembering.
It's like I said to your mom.
But don't worry, Zoo. I'm letting you do your thing. You're in a good spot.
Almost there.
I'm not saying I can beat you. I'm not saying I can't. I'm not saying I won't give it a try. But we will give it a little time. A little time. There's also just a knife only thing in this one, but this is, you know, the New Game Plus one. Oh, oh. Oh shit, that's an interesting part.
What did all this?
They're obscure. It's been nice to branch back out in games again. I know these are some games we've ran before, like Expedition 33 and that, but I don't mind. I don't mind locking in the game, but it is nice to just have a dabble elsewhere and do some other pieces as we go along. Like, unequivocally, my top project is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Expedition 33 is a close second, but that is the overall. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I guess I'm only allowed to use the knife here. I can't see it in the rules, so I'm just going to go with I can only use the knife. Is my assumption. Oh, over there. Should have really checked this, but yeah.
Is it over?
But yeah, so this is called Jedi percent. The reason before that is the weapon looks similar to a lightsaber, basically. That's the general gist of it. We're going to pick up herbs and all that stuff because we're going to most likely need them.
Damn it.
I'm going to still operate on the precedent of lowering my D as much as possible and see if that helps me. Because I can guarantee I'm going to be taking lots of hits anyway, so why not?
There's no end to them.
He said the magic. He said the safe word. He said the safe word. I don't feel very safe with that safe word, and that's for sure. How you doing? Thanks for that. Hello. Hello, Jackie. That's fine. That's fine. Do 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 do. No, 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 no. Hello, do, do, do.
Rose is here?
Yeah, so I've used this because I haven't got the thing as of yet, so I'm assuming that's what I have to use until I grab it. That's just that's the logic I'm applying to this. Oh, a little bit quick on the old skipperoonie there. Do 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 do.
This way.
I gotta get out of here. Damn, the fire's moving fast. Don't worry, and try not to breathe in the smoke.
I know. Thank you, Ethan.
I just don't get it.
Death. Yes. Death has visited them all.
Guess this leads to the castle. Nothing but blood and death.
Right. So let's get to Duke. Duke should give us all we need. The Duke shall provide. We're just going to go ahead and sell all my stuff, I think, and then just make sure it's where it needs to be.
The man is of no real use to anyone else, and my daughters do so love entertaining foreigners. Furthermore, I can assure you if you entrust.
Ah, Jesus Christ!
That's right. Run for your life. Very nice, Ethan.
Shit!
My word. You truly are as strong as they say. Oh, you didn't think I'd let you get away, did you? Gotta keep Donna and Moreau entertained. So now it's time for the beautiful, blood-soaked grand finale. Nothing like fresh American ground beef!
Too close. Wait, do those freaks have Rose?
Let's get out of here. Alright, Dookie boy. Sort me out.
If it's just looking, Windows, I've prepared a special present for you.
I must have at least one, okay.
I suppose you'd call this a farewell to arms. Oh, excellent choice.
Where's it? There it is.
Yes, I can see why you'd be interested.
No, that wasn't it. Where the fuck do you mean rocket pistol?
Ah, yes, I have you. Find some quality ingredients and bring them to me. Worry not. You can buy it back if you like.
Okay.
A good deal, if I say so myself.
Could Rose be here?
I wonder how much ball these boss fights are going to be.
Bunch of crazy witches.
Fuzz knows. go a bit slower.
Where have they taken Rose?
Let me string you up, slice your jugular, and just watch. Taken alive, dead, which would you prefer?
None of the above. Now, I'm just assuming that I can't use mimes or pipe bombs then. That's just my assumption. I should definitely have checked that. That is 100% something I should have checked. But then if you couldn't, yeah, I don't think I'll be able to. I'm sure it's just this.
I can't believe Cassandra caused all this mess.
Yeah. Alright. Okay, this song is a vibe, so this is going up for me. Thank you for the alert, Papa Shades. I do want to pick up the new Metal Gear 3, the latest one, the remaster, because I do want to run that as well. Nice to join us, Papa Shades. Are you have a good stream, mate?
Shall I give you the tour?
Resident Evil with the Snake Eater playing in your ear? Why not? Why not?
What have you done to my daughter?
What the hell?
Boo. Move. Asshole.
Go ahead, do your worst.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker lost a hand. Do you think that stopped him? Spoiler alert.
You will learn what it means to incite our stomach crash.
Oh, shizzle biscuit.
Apologize with your life.
About 220. 220. We messed up a few fights by just like missing some of the parries in places and just stupidity. One of the fights went into, we didn't have some of this stuff kind of like equipped and that. But you know, for a D-Rust, I'll take it. How's your editing going, mate? Yeah, I take it you're off tonight, I believe, right? We're now doing Jedi percent now. We're just running around with a lightsaber in Resident Evil. I have no idea what's expected of this. I'm looking at the rules for it, but like, in terms of boss fights, I don't know what the fudge I'm doing with a lightsaber. I don't even know if I'm allowed to use pipe bombs or mines in this category, so we blind as a bat. Not into today. Christina and Tina had the day, so we went out and ate. Oh, nice. That, you know what? You should do that more often, Sancho. It's good for you. You, not me. Yeah, thinking about it, maybe I should have looked at a couple of things in terms of what the fudge I'm doing, because the no use. I'm just going to assume it's like knife only, but with this lightsaber, I can use the rocket pistol for things where I'm allowed to use range. That's it. Otherwise,
So we finally.
also Final Fantasy VII Remake was verified, so I was sub 5 hours on there. That does put us to. Yeah. Said you're slow at E33, mate. Yeah, I'm. Did you turn up? I was working.
Oh my god, dude, this is an MMA
Did you turn up? I didn't see you here, do you?
Oh my god.
I was getting my ass beat by the machines all day. I was here, you were slow. I was slow. 220 compared to what I've got before. It's fine. It takes Wicked nearly 2 hours to do Act 1. I'm Gucci. So I can go in reverse and still beat him. That's what I'm hearing here. Yeah? That's what I'm hearing.
I was worried my sisters had gotten you first. You've ruined the hunt!
Why you gonna stab me for, woman? Lightsaber, go! Yeah.
You're my prey, Mom!
What am I looking at for? I did anyway, Wicked. I'm only messing with you, princess. Don't worry. You can be slow. Ain't your fault. Oh, come on, love. Haha. Hips don't lie.
By the likes of you?
But yes, you are 100% right, projects. I was slower than I was previously. But, I mean, that was a de-rust from a point where we was running it like, what, 5 days a week before? Multiple runs back to back? I'm safe to say it's okay. I mean, it's not as bad as my very first time made projects. What, 4.5 hours? I think my very first time was when obviously I hadn't looked into the speedrun. I had no idea about the speedrun. I just kind of ran the game. Yeah, 4.5, just under 5 hours, something like that. Do 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 do.
Okay, I should be able to get out with this.
Come on. Do 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 do. Oh, I'm paying attention. Come on, folks, wakey, wakey.
Stupid man thing! You won't live long, even if you run!
Ryan Tupo, sir. How the devil are you? How are things? I'm gonna go. So that's that. That's that. That's. Oh, it was close. It was close. Hey, love. Not by man working out. I work. But you're slapping me for love. I'm trying to read. Reading hard, not too bad. Working a lot. What about you? Same. I'm working pretty much 6 days a week at the moment. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out how this is going to go. We are currently running through Resident Evil 8 Village. We're doing it in the form of Jedi %, which is... How am I supposed to fight this thing with a lightsaber? Anybody comprende this? Projects or somebody. Does anybody have the capacity just to check real quick? if it's just this saber I'm allowed to use at all, or if any runs use pipe bombs or mines or anything, because like... Look at Brian on there, like on the ball. Oh, look at this. Oh, gotta love this hair. I don't know, just there's no guns, firearms. You can use knife, flashbangs, mines, pipe. Okay, so I can use pipes and mines. Okay, so basically, all right, I see. I see why the times are literally more or less the same as. Well, I'm doing it like a true Jedi then, I guess. Maybe I'll pick some mines up later.
You're the one who's cursed.
Use knife, flashbang, mines, pipe bombs, but some strats are used in text. Skip fights. Okay. I didn't think they would let you. I thought the whole principle was going to be like, you know, like thingy only. I mean, it's alright to keep in mind, I guess. I can make use of it at some points. I mean, I get a cool lightsaber. Appreciate that, Ryan. Thanks for that, mate.
Hear our voice together as one in reverence.
How's things with obviously little one and that? For 4 minutes. Okay. Do 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 do. Sat Monday final call hearing is next month. Nice, good to hear, mate. I'm glad you've got. I'm gonna go with the word stability back in place and things are sorted and looking up for you, mate. Glad to hear it. So I'm allowed to use the
There you are. I had a feeling.
the pistol for doors and that, I guess.
What the hell?
You may use your weapons to destroy them. You may shoot them. You can hit with a knife that you need to progress the game, e.g. bells in a castle.
Très bien.
Good old rocket pistol. I mean, I'm not wrong. I'm quite digging this saber. It seems to do decent damage. Might just because we have DAs next to nothing and we just keep getting hit for days. But you know, all in all, it's doing what it needs to do. Oh, come on. The only thing I dislike is the fact of he's a bit of a slow riser, this lightsaber is. Apparently to fucking charge up time. The lightsaber requires foreplay before it likes to extend. You gotta tease it out. Do do do. I don't get the lightsaber in the last section though, so in Chris's section I have to use his knife. So that's going to be a thing. I'm going to grab the pipe bomb here because I've been told. So I'm right in saying then, Ryan, from what you posted, I'm allowed to use pipe bombs and mines. That's fine. You need a knife? Damage some strats using it. No, not that one.
Better see the Duke again.
Do do do.
What?
Are we gonna gamble this one? Maybe not. Maybe not. It's me, he's been let off his leash. He's allowed out with the boys for more than 5 minutes. How are we doing, sir? How are we doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Not bad, mate, not bad. I'm glad to see you out perusing, you know, the real world. Alright. It's nice to see you put your testicles on for more than 5 minutes and come say hi to the boys. How are things, mate? How's things on the other side?
I don't want to be alone.
This can't be real. Am I losing it? What's going on?
Just been busy now, mate. Nah, I get it, mate. I get it. I'm only busting your balls. I don't actually think you're the other half that strict on you. Don't worry. If anything like mine, probably tells you to fuck up. Mine does all the time. So can you leave me the fuck alone, you irritating bastard? But then again, you know, I am irritating. You get it. Well, we got the speed. All right, got it first time. We'll take that. We'll take that. Village is good, mate. We did a run of B33, and then we're just doing, as you can see here, we are pretending we're a Jedi. Let me just do that. Sweet. Who's winning the race so far? Zoo's winning the race so far. He's at 140, 141. Yeah, I think that's it. And then I'm at like 142, something like that. But it's only I think it's just me and Zoo left actively running still at this point. I don't know if people waiting to the end of it or what. But yeah, it's been quiet on the old boardings.
Wait, where's my gun?
But Zoo's now in the lead now, so he wants me to beat him back. I said I would, but I make him wait a little bit. I mean, I'll try. No guarantee.
Why is this here?
My God, scared me. No point asking you, why aren't you involved in it, Simon? Why aren't you running the game? You love Resident Evil. You live for Resident Evil. Oh. I mean, suggest it, mate. You can always just suggest one month. You've not caught us playing our very trippy game at the moment. Romeo is a dead man. So... What, you want that to be the thing next month? Alright. Post something in the challenge channel then. You set the rules, it's your thing. Your thing, throw some out there. Tell people what the rules are, good sir. I mean, all the Res games have basically been on sale because of obviously Requiem and that. It's all the Capcom sales have already hit their shelves and that on Steam. Do, 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 do. Oh, all right. So we're not going to take the second skip. We're gonna take it a little bit safer, I think. He says. He says really want to do it, but in fact, if I die, everyone just gets cooked. I will have to think about it. Is that because I said you had to write some words, Simon? You're like, nah, fuck that shit. It's not like you have to monitor or verify any shit, dude. And you just think about what things the one you'd want to do. There's no way making a stupid challenge that I would try. No, of course there is. I mean, what were you thinking? Go on, hit me with it. What were you thinking? New game plus. The person quickest to kill Carlos. The rules, I mean. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just if you look at like Stevens, obviously he went with obviously locking it to 60 FPS, so that PC didn't have an overall advantage in places. So it's just simple things like that you can go with, or you can just use if you're looking to just throw a run out there and just say, look, okay, let's all do assisted new game plus or new game assisted or whatever. Then just use the use the rules off the SRC and just go with that. Easy as. Oh, yeah. Maybe think of something you would actually attempt yourself. Fucking Inferno. Hey, okay. Simon's been smoking some shit. Stop your crying. Not your daddy. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, that's shit.
Try and find me.
Okay, I'll try my hardest to find you. Marco. Polo. Marco Polo. Oh no, wherever may you be. Found you, bitch.
Fucking monster.
Over here? Of course you are. Okay, so what new game plus one would you go up to then? I mean, even new game plus Inferno, even if you're using a rocket, it's going to be absolute bitch and a half. Aha.
You're never going to get out of here. Stupid idiot! What are you doing to my cute friends?
So that's who was behind all that? That makes two.
You heard it here, folks. Simon's going to be starting doing New Game Plus Inferno runs. Watch this space. You must use Krish's laser for the Mega Mycete. You must use only the Karambit for the Strateger. So I can only use the... I can't even use the laser there. Easier on that. Me got it. Not a problem in the world. Alright. What's a little inferno, hey? It's a little an inferno amongst friends. Do, 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 do. Welcome back, Pikachu. Guess what? I found you a Brummer. Simon, meet Pikachu. Pikachu, meet Simon. Just making formal introductions, mate. You know, Simon doesn't sign up very often, alright? Simon's like, you cheeky fucker. Oh, he's missed you. I gotta bring Trump into it. Alright? Maybe Simon's a fan of Trump, alright? You don't see him bringing up the royal family. You don't see him talking just shit about fucking Dumbo. Every time. I love that it's highlighted for me. Just so you know, that's me, tag me. I'm good at games. Okay, alright. See, I threw out, you know, general bit of banter. Simon went straight for the jugular. He went for the sweet spot.
Damn freak!
Oh, that's probably the wrong terminology, the sweet spot, that context right there.
get out of here.
It's like my former kryptonite. What the royal family? What gets you riled up if you talk about my royals? Makes me so uncomfortable. Prince Andrew or talking about the royal family? Alright, enough folks, no more. No more. He's been through enough. Immediately waits for Simon to stop typing. Then to retype. Then to type. Then to stop typing. To add more to the type.
What was that? What am I supposed to do? He said the exit's in the water.
I'm just waiting for it to unravel this debate. I'm definitely focused on what I'm doing. You're not wrong there. I mean, I think you're actually paying a compliment there, Pikachu. Technically, we on a technical standpoint, that was effectively a compliment, or at least a nice. Simon's not used to nice words.
I'm not looking to fish food.
Backhand compliment. Yeah, I know, but technically speaking, you know, some people would agree. Even those who do like the Royals technically would agree that old Liz was, you know, part of it, and obviously Diana. Yeah, we'll move on from that one. Talk about sheep. He likes sheep. That's his safe space. We're not completely inhumane, Pikachu. Even if it's a strange ass kryptonite. Not stupid, strange. Two different things. It is.
Caught myself a big one. Get out of here!
All I'm saying about that is, why did you not say that you didn't have a picture on the ceiling? That's gonna be my thing on that part. You didn't decline that statement. Can you? I mean, it's true, it could be. You insinuate he only has pictures.
Okay.
Epstein files are there for. I don't need to picture. I already have a feeling what it is. Prince Andrew in a priest's outfit, and you as a youngster. What was a mine over here I could have taken? Okay. I mean,
the exit's up ahead.
Still not a bad time, even though we're doing it with mostly just melee. I know loads of them just use mines and shit. Do 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 do. Not being defensive. No, better one. But it's what I do. It's what I do. It is, right? Angry Hemorrhoids. Angry Hemorrhoids, I love that. How are you, sir? Welcome. It's been a while. It's been a while. How you been? Angry Hemorrhoids. That sounds like what Pikachu has on a day-to-day basis. Could just read 23 inches of snow today. I'm glad you said something to follow that up. I honestly, I was just like, okay. I was like, I'm power to everybody at that point. I was just like, just received 23 inches of snow. You should, didn't Oprah Winfrey go to Design all the time? Isn't she as corrupt as hell? What have you been up to lately, Angry? I'm going to call you Angry. I can call you, actually, I might call you Hemorrhoids. Okay, sign be good people. Checking on people's hemorrhoids. You've not had any snow this side. I wanted some for a little one. I mean, don't get me wrong, for my job it's not great because, yeah, no. But okay.
This must be their den.
Let's see. Can we get away with it? Let's see. Go, 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 go.
Okay, big guy.
Yeah, buddy. Alright. Slip and slide. Slip and slide. Kinky show going on there. Do 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 do. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this guy to come down. So I'm gonna grab these pipe bombs now.
That's not good.
How you doing, big fella? You wanna come down here and say hi? Wait. You come back down here. Come on, you big oaf.
Eat shit.
Oh, we're into walls. It's nice to see you two getting along. Sweet. Cuties. All it took, I'm going to war. All it took was a bit of a hemorrhoid to come in, break the ice, you pair hitting it off like a house on fire. Alright, we're off to Heisenberg. Despite the optics, I do actually have a lot of respect for Simon, even if he is a Swiftie. Nothing like some dangleberries to bring the lads to go together. True that.
It's my great displeasure to see you return alive.
Is it though, mate? Is it really? This is from Mass Effect, this track. Oh, shut up, Gordo. No. What can you do about that? Absolutely fuck all. Absolutely fuck all.
What's going on?
How's that feel? Who's your daddy? Insolence is not a good trait. Well, apparently I don't have a lot of good traits. So, more for you. Alright, we'll have to use the pipe bombs to get past the things. I guess that's the way.
Don't worry about the kid, Ethan. It'll be fine. Ha! Just get your ass across the bridge. Ah! Ethan Winters.
Or just drag them out.
I didn't think you'd make it past Daughter Moreau, but I suppose you survived worse back in America, hmm? I like you. I'd like to speak to you about Rose and Miranda. Oh, come on. Don't worry. It's not...
Pikachu, how do you know I'm not your dad?
What are you planning?
Shit!
A dead end. Damn it!
Alright, on the final stretch, folks. You wish you were.
What was that thing?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about having my child like humping wildlife and having fetish, you know, having pictures of a certain Andrew in their old stored away files. Well, kids are like pancakes. I'm gonna go with there's more to follow with that one. The first one is a fuck up. I mean that's unequivocally can't be true. Do you know why? Because my little girl is a bloody angel and a pain in the ass and pristine Gordo. An absolute diva, menace, and just like a dad. but looks like a mum. So no, I know you wouldn't. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I know you're not. Wouldn't even assume you were. She does. Oh, why the fudge they thought this is... Oh, let's throw this weapon in here. People want to be a Jedi, right?
Useful.
Do. Okay. We nearly got beat the shit out of by that thing. That would have been unfortunate. Alright. We're slowly making our way through.
Oh, Ethan. Such a disappointment.
Okay, can't shoot the guy though.
Join forces against that bitch Miranda. Truly, truly disappointing. She took us to be her children. She locked us away in the village. Decades of being forced to serve her. Can you understand that humiliation?
Really? We missed that? Mother chucker.
I'm not like my siblings. I want nothing more than to be free of that bitch. So I need power. I need enough power to destroy her. These are the fruits of my power. The strong will destroy the weak. That's the way of the world. You should have never refused me, Ethan.
Got a long way to go.
Right. What we got? Let me just check something here. Okay. Excuse me? Okay. Perfectly fine with that.
Miranda thinks we're nothing but children. She doesn't care for us. No. She's long lost all her humanity.
How do they do that? Or they just...
I don't give a shit about your family drama.
Okay. They seem to do it a lot quicker than mine. But it's fine. Thank you. Alright, just run the whole thing now. Oh, we can use it for this part, I guess.
Shit, that was close.
Okay, so we got Strom, which is going to be a thing.
Soon, she'll start her ceremony with your rose. If that happens, it's all over. For your kids, and for the whole village. But don't worry. I'll stop it. I'll use Rose to kill Miranda. Poor Papa. You're the only one who doesn't see your kid's power.
It's dark.
We might have to just drag this one out instead to get rid of him, which is annoying. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you for slapping me in the face. I love it. Oh, that's how you do that. Oh, too busy playing my thing. Excuse me, can I get past, please? Right, there's no need for that kind of abuse. Why does that movement in his arm just like does not look very natural at all?
You really are a tough.
Alright, this is gonna be a fun part.
But I'm tired of chit-chat. Time to die. You can hear it, can't you? Something waiting for you.
Shit. Serious? Come on. Say.
Now stay down.
Was anybody else puckered or is it just me? No? Okay, just me. Exhale.
Again?
I said, was anybody else puckered or was it just me during that entire thing? Because we did not have any heals. We did not have anything.
Can't turn back now.
Puckered. You ever heard the word puckered? It's called skills. I know, Wicked mate. You let me know when you got some, mate. Bless you, you're coming to new words.
Metal polymer composite, huh?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Can't believe you bottled it out. I offered you a race. Offered you a race, Wicked, and you didn't turn up for it. This old, I'm working. Hmm? Light Project says I was slow. Alright.
Like a goddamn cockroach! You think you can take me on? Fine. This will be my warm-up before I kill that bitch. Let's settle this. Man, a man. Your corpse will be another addition to my army! So this is the path of follow along, huh? Don't die like the world wants you! cower in the face of my steel glory! Guess I do have to thank that bitch for ending this.
This fight was odd to you, was it?
I'll kill her with the power she gave me. That's what I call being a good son! The clock is ticking. What is that doing?
Kami, Kami, oh.
Creators are fooling yourself! I'm an army! That boulder punching asshole! But you're first! Don't give up!
You may use the gun rocket against Heisenberg, okay. I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to mean there. I could have just threw everything in the window, who knows?
You really should have taken my deal.
Might have just done, to be fair.
Rose's power is one! Right after I murdered her animal. This can't be the end for me!
Probably, I think I did. Ah well, we'll see. We'll see.
Captain, I've I wasn't able to retrieve the body, but I've recorded evidence.
Share your screen, and I'll go over the situation.
Been a while since we fought together, Cap. When was it last? The desert?
Doing nothing but recon's gotten me out of shape.
But thanks to your recon, we
Apparently, I'm only allowed to use this.
When I heard you turn herself into Mia, though.
This could be the most toxic part to do. I mean, that's it. I mean, I think I just cooked it during that Heisenberg part, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out. If it gets declined, it gets declined. No biggie.
There's more than we thought. Watch out.
Western route is clear. Moving out.
Roger that.
BSAA craft spotted. 2 guards. I can take them.
Don't get cocky.
What the hell is that thing? It's all new to my seat.
That's probably where Ren is. Let's go.
Not bad, Excel. I think I cooked this wrong because I think I used some what it's supposed to use at some point. So I don't really know at this point.
Hey boss, it's me. May be releasing infectious particulates. Fire. Keep your masks on.
Roger.
Otherwise, we're all good.
Umberise, I need some backup.
I see. 200 to the point.
Nom 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 nom.
I've never heard of a mutant mycete colony growing so huge. Hey, I get eyes on you, boss.
Excuse me, boys. I would like to make my way through. Excuse me. Don't worry about yourselves.
Damn, this is big. All right, Lobo. Marking the target.
Roger that, boss. Takes a minute to target the point. Try and keep the laser on it as long as you can.
Oh, I'm going to.
Reloading now. Just a minute. There's a swarm headed that way.
Do 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 do.
Okay, Captain. I'm reloaded. Ready when you are.
Oh, I'm so not ready.
The mold is rapidly expanding. And over here, I something stimulating it. Looks like it's
I'll mark a
about to
point with the
collapse.
target locator. Hang on.
Roger that. Hold your horses. I'm reloading. Your perimeter crossing.
So, boys, how we doing? How's everybody doing? Nice to meet you. Welcome to the party. Party, people.
I'm reloaded. Where should I point next?
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I found a way down. I'm going in. The rest of you stay back.
Captain, I compared the mold at the village with a sample from the bakers, and there's no sign of the genome editing we saw in the E-series. The stuff originated here.
So apparently I can't use the laser here, but I have to use the karambit against this, I think. Can I? You kind of got me pinned, mate.
Lobo, I got a tough guy here. I'm gonna need backup.
Boss, you're on the ground.
There's an opening in the roof. Use it.
Okay, I'm moving out. Hold on till I get there.
Am I even hitting him? Yeah, I think I cooked some for it. Because the rules are a bit all over the place.
I'm overhead, boss.
Good. I'll signal with the locator.
Give a guy a break.
Because it says you can use the gun and rockets against thingy, but I'm like, now I'm reading it back, I'm like, okay, does that just mean the rockets and the turret thing? Because I use the rocket pistol against his thingy form, where I probably should just played it safe and just slashed it. I know it says something about using mines and shit like that, and I've avoided using them as well. I haven't looked at this one as well, so I don't know what strats were used in these things here, so I'm just fucking... I'm just slashing his booty hole and just seeing if he gets stung. I really don't think he is. I really don't feel like I've touched him. Alright, I'm having a quick look. Okay, so just knife. Yep, just slashy. Oh, come on. Are you serious? Okay. This is... Am I seriously here? I've hit it more than enough, surely. This part here is probably the most toxic part, just because you have to use just the knife, and obviously it's kind of shite. But yeah, it's just basically just keep on slashing. There was something about mentioning about mines and shit like that you can use, or flashbangs or something like for environmental stuff, so I'm like, but I don't really know. I feel like this is cooked anyway from what I did in Heinsberg section, and I feel like they should just give me a pass for me making sure that I haven't used anything else. I mean, come on, come on. Hey, Jesus.
The rest of you, stay above ground.
So if Miranda was the fake Mia, where's the real one? I doubt she saw any.
Oh, don't get me wrong, the lightsaber's been doing some solid work. It does some damage.
How did Miranda even know Rose exists?
A moldy little bird told her, maybe?
We can figure that out later. Focus on the plan. I found it. It's the Megamycete.
Captain, I have eyes on Miranda at the ceremony site.
Keep your distance. Do not move until I give the order.
I know it's too late now, but we really should have told Ethan the plan.
There wasn't time. And we didn't expect
Still should have told him.
to act so soon.
Even so, you should have told him.
Yeah, dickhead. Too busy punching boulders.
It's cold.
So our sub 5 hour XL on thingy is verified now, so we're just fourth, we're chasing your tail. And our New Game Plus Romeo has been verified as well, so we officially have a world record on that. I'm not skipping quick.
I gotta go.
We'll just take health.
Do you have sufficient weapons and items?
I just need health, mate.
God created man.
Take some storage for the lack of stuff that I have.
You want to pile on even more. Please, be well.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, yes, that makes sense, mate. Look, you get there with this thing you're doing anyway. You'll get there.
Out of my way.
But yeah, next thing I do want to go back and rerun Romeo thing because I feel I've got some of the notes down for it now. Just a few more pieces because I want to bring that time right down.
Purpose, Mr. Winters. You disposed of my false children and awakened the glorious memories. Now, please do not worry for little Rose. I assure you I'll provide her with true happiness. So now you can die peacefully.
I'm not letting you get away.
Now, Mr. Winters, I think it's time you left things in my hands.
Give me her back. Where you at?
The hell I will.
I will take back my daughter! Die, 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 die! If I This is how you end, Ethan Winters. To ensure I never see your face.
Oh, days. I mean, for anybody verifying this, take pity on my also that I had to do that knifey crap for so long.